So all the drawings are here, and but they're all kind of jumbled. We want to get them together nicely. So what I recommend doing immediately, so you don't risk messing this up, is saving this as a new drawing. So just go to, after you've saved it, of course, hit save, then go save as, and save it as something new. Named mine 8A working because it's the working drawing that we're doing, that we would be printing out here. So that's what I called it, and I'll just call it something else right now. And then you can just turn off your other one. So the next step I recommend is turning everything off except for the construction lines. Everything. You want to get rid of the construction lines in this maneuver. And I'll tell you why. Because, so make sure whoops, I'm doing it the wrong way. Make sure only the construction lines are on. That's it. Everything else, off. That looks about right. And then grab them and get rid of them. I'm going to hit Control A so I can see everything. Z, Enter A, everything. Make sure I can see everything and delete. Because when you move things around, there is a tendency for dimensions especially to stay attached to their construction lines somehow. And if they're gone, they won't. And I had that problem just a minute ago when I was doing this. I was like, why are these dimensions stretching when I am just trying to move them? So that helped. All right. So next thing to do in organizing it, I just kind of said, okay, these two guys, they're the big ones. I'm going to grab all them and put them closer together, and turn your snaps off, like so that you can move it freely. And put it a little closer together. Make sure the height is about the same. So about there. So imagine a line going across the top. And if you want to draw a line right now to help you organize this, nothing wrong with that to kind of get things going here. So you're going to have something like that, right? Oh my God, look at that. I missed that. So be careful when you're moving stuff, of course, to grab it all. How did I miss that? Okay, not so close, but yeah. So put that line back to help guide me here. Okay, so that's going to be my upper vertical line, and this will be my, I should say horizontal, this will be my vertical line. Okay. And then I'm going to bring this stuff in here, just one at a time. Kind of get that in there looking good. Just eyeballing it, just trying to make it look pretty, fit in there, not too crowded. You turn your snap off so that it's not clicking on things as you're moving around. You can see none of my snaps are on down here. That way you can just put it wherever you want. You don't have to worry about it getting sucked into something. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. Okay, so I think I'll just make an actual box now. Go to my object layer, click on the box rectangle command, and do it. Should be pretty good right there. Enough to make myself a little title block here. And to do that, I just went to the text command and kind of made something large here, just a big box that I knew would be big enough. And started typing out what I needed to. So tool post, that's the name. Enter, enter, hit the enter button twice. Give you some space, name, your name, I should say. Scale. If we were printing it, this would be important. We're going to pretend like we're printing it. So we're putting a scale there. Make sure it's 1:1. And then Pioneer Valley High School. And the date. Okay, get that all squared away. And then you can move it to a good location. I guess we'll say right about there. I guess I could make this box a little smaller. About like that. Okay. And then another one. And then just some lines to separate them. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And then just throw some lines across here. You might want to turn your snaps back on, especially nearest, because that's the one I'm going to use for this. Okay, so that looks pretty nice and organized there. And that would do it. So that is your completed working drawing. Yay. Now, and I would save that. All right, for sure. And then save this as the assembly drawing. Okay, so this is the second drawing that you're going to turn into me. You got the completed one with all the views, all the dimensions, and now for the assembly. In the assembly, we are not going to need dimensions, so we can turn those off. We're not going to need the phantom either. We're going to need to move these things around without losing any bits and pieces. That's kind of critical. So my recommendation is that you do this, you turn them into blocks. So here's how the block command works. It takes all the lines and just makes it one thing. So check it out. Right now, when I click on any part of this, it just grabs the one object, right? But if I type block, B for block, and sorry, make sure you select everything first, of course, and then type B for block or BL. And then it tells you to name it, and you can just do these in order. I'm just going to say 1. Okay. And then I'm going to grab this one. Oh, well, let's see what it does. Now, when I click on it, it just grabs the whole thing. And if I type move M, enter, look at that. The whole thing goes with it. So again, I'm going to grab all this stuff. B, block 2. That's block 2. Grab this one. B, block 3. This one. B, block 4. This one. B, it's 5. That one is 6. This will be 7. This will be 8. This will be 9. Oops, that one is sharing A. I need to trim that out. 10. And you can just hit the enter button. 12. So I'm not typing B each time, unless you screw up. Because it remembers the command, of course. So now, as you see, as I hover over these things, they're all, as I just move my mouse, the whole thing lights up. So they're all joined. And to unjoin them, you can just hit explode. You can do block edit, but explode is really fast. So now they're all individual things. And I mean, joined, they're just one thing. So we should be able to put these things together real quick now to make our assembly view. Where to start? Which one to start with? Good question. I think the post is kind of the unifier here. So let's do that. And we'll assume that this view here is our primary. Okay. So just a moment. I am referring to the isometric view that we were given. Just wanted, so yeah, just want to make sure I got that right here. Okay. Sorry, I got a lot going on here. Okay, and I'm going to turn off my line weight. That seems to be getting in the way. And to do that, you just type LW, and you can just turn off the line weight if it's interfering. And it kind of does when you zoom out so far. All right, so in this view right here, this guy, which is the block, would be somewhere above here. It sits, the bottom piece goes underneath this thing that it slips into, which is about a 1/2 inch thick. So you could just make a line if you wanted and say, okay, this is going to be roughly my 1/2 inch line that I'm going to offset. And this thing would represent the piece that this slips into, right? So this piece underneath would go underneath that, and this would go above, something like that. But it only needs to be an approximate distance. So it's just something about like that, okay? But anyway, when you move these, you definitely want to move them on center. So I'm going to type M, enter, and I'm going to grab it by this point here, and I'm going to move it so that it's definitely snapping on to center there. And I just want it to be a little more than that 1/2 inch. So approximately, right there. That seems about right. So I'll delete those lines now. That was just to give you an idea. There's about a 1/2 inch space between there. And that's, could be anything. So just for fun, let's look at how those two pieces are stacking up. You can see the dashed line, that's the hole that goes all the way through. And you can see that the post fits just inside of there, because you remember it was 1/32 less in diameter. That would be a 64th of an inch space in between the hole and the side of this thing. So that's right on the money. Things are looking good. I'm going to zoom out. Things are going well. And I want to do these things kind of at the same time so that we don't lose track of what's going on here. So this top view of the block would be right above that, right? And you know what? Let's make a construction line to help us here. Keep this thing on center. And so that would go right above that as well as this guy here, right? In the top view though, this would be rotated. So the way we did it this way, I'm gonna have to rotate that guy 90 degrees. No big deal. RO enter, select him, and click on his center point and just say rotate him 90. All right, so now it's facing the correct way, and I can move that piece from its center line to, I'm gonna just say like right here. And now this thing, the block, it's lined up in the same direction, and I can put that right on top of that. So M, enter. Again, from the center to center. Okay. I'm gonna delete this box. So that's looking good. So this guy I'm gonna move over this away. Keep him lined up though, like that. So if we're calling this the front view and this the side view, right? So then this block would go across from there. And let's put a construction line on that one. I know I placed this randomly, but I do want to keep them lined up. So that one's going to go to that point there. All right. So I'm going to say move for this thing. And I'm going to grab it by its center line in there and put that one right there. Okay. Perfect. And then, oh, you know what? I should have. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're good. Because we're just going to do top, front, and right side. That's the plan for this thing, just to do top, front, and right side. So now we've done all three views for the assembly so far for the first two objects, right? And we don't need this. This is not a part of the assembly, this cutaway here. So we can actually just delete that guy. We don't need him. Next piece, how about the washer? That goes on the bottom. It is the same in both views. Let's zoom in on that thing. So we don't want to show it as, well, we may or may not want to show it as section. I think we should not show it as section. I'm going to explode that because we're not showing anything else as section. So explode, click it, enter, right. Get rid of the hatch. And just make those inside lines hidden lines, right? These guys, just make these hidden. My computer is being super slow. Okay. And so now it is just a standard view, right? It's not a section anymore. And then you can put it where it belongs. So where it belongs is right on top of this. So that face right there would rest on top of this face here on center. So if we drew a temporary construction line to help us line that up from there to there, that corner, and we grabbed it by this point here, it would go there. So check it out. Move, M, enter. And this time I got to select it all because it's unblocked. And grab it from that point there, that center point, and move it to where it would go over here, which is that center point right there. You can see, perfect. And you can see how it has a nice little cushion around it where the tool post would would rest inside, and I can delete that line now. So that is exactly how it would fit on top of that. And I'll zoom out just a smidge. And it's going to be the exact same on this one. So you can just copy it all. CO, enter, and move it from the same place. That where that center line hits to over there. It's the same exact thing in both views. Perfect. I think I'm going to copy this center line as well since, never mind. Okay, I'm going to zoom out and we're getting close to being done here. We've got 3 of the 5 parts lined up. Oh, was that visible in the top view at all? It would be entirely hidden lines if it were, because it would be behind this thing completely. So that's something to consider. We could explode this thing. And then just make it all hidden lines. Grab it from its midpoint and put it on this guy here. There it is, completely hidden lined. All its rings, all its, yeah, nice. It's getting a little hairy. Okay. So now we've got all 3 views of that taken care of. How about the wedge? The wedge will move into this view here next. And its placement should pretty much just be by its center. So I'm going to hit move enter and grab it by what should be its midpoint there and place it on the center line here. Let me zoom in on that. I know it's lined up in side to side, and I just need to bring it down now. And it would mate with these teeth. So you could just eyeball that. I don't want them overlapping because it looks kind of nasty. Yeah, I want to be able to see the teeth a little bit. So just maybe a little smidge of space in between them, because if they're on top of each other, it's kind of a mess. And they don't line up perfect either. That'll work. Excellent. At some point, you would have to ask yourself, are we, to what degree are we going to get caught up with the hidden lines of this thing? You know, like the teeth here, they would be hidden everywhere except for the parts that are extending out. So that is probably worth addressing. You could also just trim those teeth away. And anyway, there's various ways that you could represent this. Do you want the parts to maintain their object lineness, or do you want it to be where pretty much everything's hidden lines? And that's questionable. But the wedge is a good example of that, because technically only the teeth extending out here would be visible, and so all the rest of them would be hidden. Okay, how does that look in this view here? In this view, in the right side view, it's just a rectangle, and we didn't even draw that view because it was so, so simple. And that's something we could just do very quickly from here. Okay, and we know it was exactly a 1/2 inch wide, So we could offset this center line 1/4 of an inch on each side. I'm losing, my computer is freaking out. I don't know why. This drawing's overwhelming it. So here we go, 1/4 of an inch. Oh, that's the problem. Let me explode it. There you go. Okay, and then I could just draw this box with a object line. From there to there. I don't know that that did a whole lot for us, but it has legitimized the drawing anyway. Okay. So that takes care of that. I can get rid of those center lines. At least we have the wedge represented accurately. Okay. And just so you know, the thing with this wedge and this teeth is that the wedge can be moved up or down this plane to raise its surface higher and lower, just small amounts, very small amounts. And that's because there's a cutting tool that's going to sit on top of that that needs to be at a specific height and needs to be adjustable. Okay, so now we've got every object. I'll take that back. So we also, sorry, we need to have the wedge represented in the top view. And we did do that one. There it is right there. Are we going to show all those crazy teeth? Oh my goodness. I believe the answer is no. So let's just draw a 1/2 inch rectangle straight up from here. I think that's the best bet. So you could draw it on top of this other one and then move it. That might be an easy way to do it. So just click corner to corner and then select it. Not that one, just that one there, and hit move. So not the block, but just the little one that I just did. And let's grab it by its, man, I am having trouble with this thing today. Grab it by its center and place it on center. So I'll make a temporary line here to grab it by its center. Just go corner to corner. There it is, and then move it. From the midpoint of that line to the center of this whole thing. There we go. Okay, so that is the wedge in the top view. So the last thing we got to do is the screw. Where does that guy go? If it was screwed all the way, it would rest on the top of this. Is it ever going to get screwed in all the way? No. Let's see what it looks like when we just move it. When we grab it by its center here. I'm going to grab it by the midpoint of its end and see what it looks like as we move this thing around here. So that would be all the way shut. And we could have it out a little, I think having it out a little bit. So just to show that, just to show, you know, what's going on there would be a good idea. So I'm just going to do that. And I eyeball it right there. And that's going to mean moving my top view a little bit, not a problem. Just grab all that and move that up out of the way a little bit. Maybe right there. Perfect. And then, of course, the screw in the side view here looks identical. So I'm going to copy it. And just maybe from there to there. Perfect. And in the top view, do we want to have this guy? Do we really want to put that one on there? Boy, that top view is just getting a mess. Yes, the answer is yes. Let's do it. So we'll grab it by its center point and put it up on top there, right on the center. Oh my goodness, lots going on. Turn this thing off here. And that's all our pieces assembled together. Yay. Pretty cool. I think it turned out pretty good. We're not done, unfortunately. We need to finish this drawing with an appropriate title block for an assembly drawing, and that means indicating all the part numbers and their names and so forth. So that's a little bit of work. It's going to be a little bit of work, the typing. You can make a leader, and that's what we ought to do here. Go to my dimension layer. And you could copy and paste some of this stuff. I'm not going to do that. That's just going to be a headache. I'm turning it off. Never mind. And I don't know, I'm going to make you guys sit through this whole thing, but I might just post the answer. But anyway, the first thing you got to do is label each part. So pick one of these views to label the parts on. I guess I'll just go with this closest one here. So this is part number 1, right? And so you're just going to type a 1. Okay. Boy, my computer is locking up like crazy. Do that one more time. Here we go. 1. Okay. And then you got to put a circle around it. So this is how I did the other ones as well, if you didn't notice that. You got to put a circle around it. Move that circle so, you know, it looks good. And if maybe you need another space, I'm going to hit mtext edit here and put a space in between that just so there's a little gap. And I did that on the other ones too. So that looks good right there. And then what you can do to speed up this process is copy that one and then just edit the number 1 maybe, right? CO enter, grab it by its point and put it in multiple locations. And the wedge, maybe I'll do the wedge over here. Okay. So that was number 1. And number 2, I'll click on that and just change that to a 2. And change, oh my goodness, killing me. You're killing me. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I think my being out in space is giving it a hard time. All right, and I'm double clicking on this one just to edit the value, you know. And that guy, the washer. I think that was the 5th one. Washer was 3. Screw was 4. Washer was 5. Just painfully slow. You guys, anytime you catch me making a mistake, you are welcome to say something. Okay. That's looking good. Now, the title block from before, we're going to bring in, and we're going to do an additional parts list that has these guys numbered, okay? So basically, this is what this is going to look like. Let me get my text box, and I am going to make a big text box just so they know it's absolutely big enough right here. And we're going to get started on this typing, assuming my computer will allow it. Yeah, okay. So with a number 1, and you want to put spaces in between this all so we can put the lines in when we're done. So I'm going to say space, space, like 1, space, space, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I think that's probably good idea. So just the number and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So like 2 spaces on each side of the line. Right, and then what it is. We need to say what it is, what its material is, and normally it'd be quantity. Since there's only one of each, it's probably not necessary, but we'll say number, we'll say name, and we'll definitely say the material. So remember, after the thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the material is C1118 steel, right? And again, this is where I was saying you'd copy and paste this stuff if you wanted. And 1.625 bar. This could be size here, and then we would say notes, which is heat treat. And they're all going to say this, right? Okay, so that's basically what we're after for each single line. It might be faster to make a box around each one of these. That's probably not a bad idea. Just do something like that. Not sure why it snapped out there to outer space. I did not want it to do that. Try that one more time by snap off. All right. And now you could copy and paste this whole thing, which is what I'm going to do. CO, enter, and grab it by the top and do this 5 times. Oh, maybe a few more, 6. Just to do it all, just to get everything in there. And then you can go in and just edit each one, right? So double click on the text part, and then it will just come up, right? And I'm going to say number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what is this thing? Number 2 is the block. And then delete, get that out. What is it made of? Same stuff. So there you go. Don't have to retype any of that. Great. And its size is 232.75 bar. So delete that and say 2.75 bar. Oh, there we go. And it's also heat treat. So excellent. So that saves some time there. Check mark. And just go down and fill the rest of this in at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to begin what it's, what is this one actually called? And this is just the whole name of the project. And I think I would say tool post assembly. And you could say that piece might be might make that a little heavier just because it's special. Make that a little darker, a little bigger, center it. Come on, justification work. Justification won't open up, but I could move it after the fact. Something like that. And then beneath this, you're going to say your name and stuff. All that stuff we did before. In this view up here, we'll definitely put lines separating all these guys. Just making it look like a table. And below this is where you would have your name and so forth. Okay, so you can just like we did before. You could even copy and paste the other table if you wanted in there. So I'm going to post the final, I'll finish this up in a few minutes and post that.